Welcome back. This is Elevated Outdoors, and I'm Quentin, your hiking disciple. What a difference 24 hours can make. Yesterday, this time it was close to 50 degrees, rainy, overcast, and today, beautiful, sun shining. I could do without these long sleeves, but as a choice I decided to make this morning. We have birds chirping and beautiful. Lots of blessings around us. So let's. I want to ask you guys to bear with me if you watched our video from yesterday. It's pretty obvious that I'm not super comfortable in front of a camera, talking to a screen. My children make videos and things like that, and second nature to them. But it's a little different to talk to a screen and have complete thoughts and not stumble over our words. Also, elephant in the room, something that I've been subconscious about for a long time, and I struggle with self-confidence as it is. And thankfully, we learned yesterday in Genesis, we were all made in His likeness, and every hair on our head was accounted for, and even my lazy eye was accounted for. I hate to watch myself in videos because of the uncontrolled eye thing I have going on there. But I was made in His likeness, and who am I to judge, my Creator, So, with that being said, I want to pick up where we left off in Genesis chapter 4. We're going to read 4 through 6 today. And I want to tell you guys, I have never read through the Bible before. This is my first time, other than at church when they ask us to flip to a page, and I won't even lie there. A lot of times I'll use my Bible app, and these last 24 hours is probably the longest amount of time I've ever held a hard copy Bible in my hand. So this is all new to me too, but that's proof that you don't have to be a historian or a expert or a pastor, anything of that nature. Like I said yesterday, and you guys are going to learn, I'm just an average guy. I have life struggles like the rest of you, whether they be financial or health struggles or, trying to schedule work and personal life. And, my washers and dryers and refrigerators break just like everybody else's at the most unopportune time. You know how that is. So I'm no different than you guys, and this is just proof that anybody who wants to make the effort can sit down and be dedicated and disciplined and read through the Bible. So where we left off is Genesis chapter 4. Is the story of Cain and Abel. Adam, who we learned last reading yesterday of the Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Adam lay with his wife Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. she said, "With the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man." Later she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil. Brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. But Abel brought fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. When the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must master it." That's a deep. So, we've all been tempted with sin, So that definitely resonates at home. Now Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let's go out to the field." And while they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. And the Lord said to Cain, "Where's your brother Abel?" "I don't know," he said. "Am I my brother's keeper?" The Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth." Cain said to the Lord, "My punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." But the Lord said to him, "Not so. If anyone kills Cain, he will suffer vengeance 7 times over." Then the Lord put a mark on Cain, so that no one who found him would kill him. So Cain went out from the Lord's presence, and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Cain lay with his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Cain was then building a city, and he named it after his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad was the father of Majul. I struggle through this just like everybody else. I'm sure I'm slaughtering that name. And Majul, was the father of Methuselah, and Methuselah was the father of Lamech. Lamech married 2 women, one named Ada and the other Zillah. Ada gave birth to Jabal, and he was the father of those who live in the tents and raise livestock. His brother's name was Jubal, and he was father of all who play the harp and the flute. Zillah also had a son, Tubal-Cain, who forged all kinds of tools out of bronze and iron. Tubal-Cain's sister was Nehemiah. Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, "Listen to me. Wives of Lamech, hear my words. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for injuring me. If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. Adam lay with his wife again, and she gave birth to a son named Seth, saying, God has granted me another child in place of Abel. Since Cain killed him, Seth Seth also had a son, and he named him Enosh. At that time, men began to call on the name of the Lord. Now we move on from Adam to Noah in chapter 5. This is the written account of Adam's line. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. We learned this yesterday. He created them male and female and blessed them. And when they were created, he called them man. When Adam had lived 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness, in his own image, and he named him Seth. After Seth was born, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Adam lived 930 years, and then he died. When Seth had lived 105 years, he became the father of Enosh. And after he became the father of Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Seth lived 912 years, and then he died. When Enosh had lived 90 years, he became the father of Kenan. And after he became the father of Kenan, Enosh lived 815 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enosh lived 905 years, and then he died. When Kenan had lived 70 years, he became the father of Mahal. And after he became the father of Mahal, Kenan lived 840 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Kenan lived 910 years, and then he died. When Mahal had lived 65 years, he became the father of Jared. And after he became the father of Jared, Mahal lived 830 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Mahal lived 895 years, and then he died. When Jared had lived 162 years, he became the father of Enosh. And after he became the father of Enosh, Jared lived 800 years. And had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Jared lived 962 years, and then he died. When Enosh had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. And after he became the father of Methuselah, Enosh walked with God 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enosh lived 365 years. Enosh walked with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he became the father of Lamech. And after he became the father of Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Methuselah lived 969 years, and then he died. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he had a son. He named him Noah and said, "He will comfort us in the labor and the painful toil of our hands, because caused by the ground of the Lord has cursed." After Noah was born, Lamech lived 595 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Lamech lived 777 years, and then he died. After Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay, that's a lot to unpack. So, a lot of that's confusing. It's a lot of information poured on, given to us all at once. I might try to see if I can't find some kind of, family tree. As funny as that sounds. My mom was big into genealogy and family tree, and that can get complex with our lives, and we're surely not living, 6, 7, 8, 900 years. Blame that on the preservatives, and but that's a lot to unpack. And if you guys are like me, I struggle with retaining knowledge. Do you think that tomorrow I can tell you how long any of them people lived? Absolutely not. But it is, I'm sure it's valuable knowledge to the storyline of the Bible, and its history. So, chapter 6. When men began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit will not contend with man forever, for he is mortal. His days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days. Let me see, because this is a learning Bible. So the Nephilim are the heroes of old. Nephilim may refer to persons of great physical stature, giants. But here it probably means princes or aristocrats, men of political stature. Nephilim is linked to another term. Where was I? Another term that indicates heroic person with both power and influence. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. The Lord saw how great man's wickedness on the earth had become, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil all the time. The Lord was grieved that he had made man on this earth, and his heart was filled with pain. So the Lord said, I will wipe mankind, whom I have created, from the face of the earth, men and animals, and creatures that move along the ground, and birds of the air. For I am grieved that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. This is the account of Noah. But before I go move forward on that, so that's something that I had never heard before, that he made us in his likeness. He created us, on the 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested. I never had read before that he, regretted doing that because of how we started to react. This is before, if I had to guess or assume, this is before we really learned that Jesus was the Son of God and started to follow his practices. In chapter 5, where they gave us all the information, if you remember, there was only one person that said that he walked. That it said that he walked with God. So that's I think that's probably why we almost immediately, I say immediately, hundreds of years, but so early in the story, that mankind started to act with evil intentions. So back to chapter 6. This is verse 9. This is the account of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Make a roof for it and finish the ark to within 18 inches of the top. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. I'm going to bring floodwaters on the earth and destroy all life under the heavens. Every creature that has the breath of life in it, everything on earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark two of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. Two of every kind of bird, every kind of animal, and every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that has to be eaten and stored away as food for you and for them to eat. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. That's so I mentioned that I'd never heard that mankind had become so evil that Jesus regretted creating us. Again, that's part of the Noah's Ark story, which many of us have heard. That's part of it that I either one, didn't retain, or two, didn't hear and didn't learn in Sunday school. So that's real cool. I'm glad that I was able to read that. I'm actually going to, as much as I want to read forward, I'm going to leave off right there, because the next few chapters are explaining that story and the whole Noah's Ark idea. So that's, we're getting well into it. We're learning some of the different characters or people. I'm not going to call them characters, this isn't a movie. But we're learning some of the people and already getting into some of the stories that some people may have heard and some people may not have, or don't recall all the details. So how amazing is it that Jesus told Noah in such depth, from the dimensions to what type of wood, being cypress wood, to use and to cover it with pitch and inside and out. And that's, if me or you were to be approached by somebody who said, I know it's dry and looks beautiful and no chance of rain, but build an ark, make it 140 some feet long and do all these details because there's gonna be a flood, we would probably look at the Weather Channel and look in the sky and say, dude, you're crazy. But it's, Noah followed Jesus' word, and Jesus' word isn't always as clear as that. It might not have every detail. It might not have, an explanation that there's going to be a flood. It's going to create a flood to wipe out, mankind and kind of hit refresh. So that's, sometimes it sounds like, a sign, you might see a sign or have a feeling come over you. I know that when it was brought on my heart to start this channel and read through the Bible, it was as clear as mud, you know, but it was clear enough that I knew I had to do it. I've been looking for years for discipline, ways to learn to be more disciplined, and I've been wanting to grow in my walk with Christ, and I've been afraid to step outside of my comfort zone. Remember, I'm not a public speaker. I'm a normal person like you and those around you. So I kept knowing that I should do something, but I was afraid. I won't lie. I can act big and tough and say I'm not afraid of much, but I was afraid of new experiences, as silly as that sounds, and new challenges. And I kept seeing on social media and personal development pages and podcasts I listen to, and I recommend that you guys listen to and follow as much to keep you always striving for better. But what I kept seeing and hearing was how many times in the Bible Jesus tells us to not be afraid. And finally, here I am. I didn't have no fancy camera, and I didn't have any big plan, and I started with what I had, and here I am doing what I was called upon to do, and hopefully helping others grow in their journey with Christ. So I'm going to cut this video short, and I want to remind you guys to comment, like, share, subscribe, do all the things. And if you have anyone in your life who may be struggling, or they are, whether they're Christians and have accepted Jesus Christ into their heart and want to continue to grow, or if maybe they're not quite believers, or kind of on the fence about things, feel free to share and invite them to the channel. And like I said, I'm not a pastor, I'm not a theologian, I'm not anybody special, but that's what makes, I think, why I was called upon to do this, is to show anybody and everybody. You don't have to have any credentials to grow. So I wish you guys could see that there's a ant crawling on the screen right now. Too bad it doesn't go over the camera lens. That'd be funny. But we're out here in nature, enjoying the Word of Christ, and I'll see you next time.